Get in here now, man. D.L. Hughley. D.L. Hughley humiliates Officer Brandon Tatum in Don Lemon interview. This is facts how he got at him, man. Salute to everybody. Make sure you liking that like button. Make sure you are subscribing to On Go. Hit the notification bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content. We're not going to waste no time. Let's get right into it.
Your pod, and you have been following this Nolan Wells story, doing a great job on it. It's captured the hearts of the nation. But I want to ask you, you went in on Brandon Tatum, and I spoke to the mom today, an exclusive interview. This is what she had to say about Brandon Tatum. So when you talk about all the things that have been spread, there is this officer, I hate mentioning his name, a former officer who is a far right wing, who's been doing the interviews and has been saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on Brandon Tatum. No.
I respect that. And that's the right answer for everybody, I believe. And I feel like, because I mentioned him, I'm like, why did I even mention him? Because he doesn't deserve a platform.
No, he does not.
Okay, so I can understand why the mom doesn't want to. But DL, you had some choice words for him. Why is that?
Well, I think he's indicative of the unremarkable black man that the right adores. They pick black men like they pick dogs, things that make them comfortable. I think Brandon Tatum was an officer. He was a failed football player. That didn't work out. He was an officer in Tucson for 6 years. That didn't work out, and now he's an influencer. And I think what his stock and trade seems to be is no matter what black person is involved with what, to automatically take the other side. I've heard him denigrate Harriet Tubman. I've heard him denigrate Rosa Parks. And so this is par for the course. And I think the sad thing about a man like him is they make you keep your title. Like whether you're Sheriff Clark or, whether you're Colonel Moore, Adams, or whether you're, they always make you keep your title as if it gives you more gravitas, more weight. Now, the one thing that Brandon Tatum isn't is a detective. he doesn't call himself Detective Tatum. And the only black person that they don't think that their formal title gives them weight to is President Obama. They don't ever call him President Obama. They just call him Obama. And I just think Brandon Tatum is this is a true story. I'm not even trying to denigrate this kid, but he's the kind of unremarkable man. The only reason I know who he is because I got a coon alert, literally, and it was him. So I think he is a failed football player, a mediocre. It was a mediocre cop, and it's been wrong pretty much. Like he is the guy who thought Sandra Massey, and by the way, her murderer, the police officer who murdered her in Ohio, came up for parole, and it was denied, or probation. It was denied today. But he thought that Sandra Massey acted so suspiciously that it was tantamount to her death warrant, that she should have been killed. Ironically, he doesn't think that any of these boys acted so suspiciously that they should be questioned.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned someone who has qualifications and should be called as President Obama, but when they call him, you're right, they don't say president. Either say Obama or Barack Hussein Obama, right? They make sure to put the emphasis on Hussein. Let's talk about that word, because I said, as I responded to him, my response to him was, some things just fall in your lap. I don't even have to deal with it because my friend D.L. Hughley has dealt with it on Uncertain, and I played your response. But the word that you said that you got that coon alert is what I've been hearing from a lot of people, and not just black people. And I said, I don't think he even sees himself, or maybe he does and he doesn't care, DL.
Well, here's the thing. It's always somebody in that role. He'll go the same road as Candace Owens or Larry Elder or Armstrong Williams. You never see that they don't have a long shelf life because they all repeat the same things. Their job is to I call them fabuloso, because all they do is take the stench of white people's racism. So they can call them niggeloso. I just think that their career will age like avocado, because their stock and trade is being able to say is to give credence to white lies. And I think for a man that doesn't, the only time that man thinks that racism is involved is when somebody says something he thinks is racist, or if it's racist towards him. So either it doesn't exist or it does. No one is saying, by the way, we couldn't know what happened to that young man. But I do know this, that black people are right to be suspicious of Mississippi. They're right to be suspicious of Mississippi. It took 31 years for Medgar Evers, killers to be brought to justice. It took they've been systematically poisoning the black people of Jackson, Mississippi since the 60s through their water supply. A 1-year-old boy was killed not even a month and a half ago, and we don't know what happened there. There were 215 black men that were discovered in a pauper's grave behind a sheriff department in Mississippi in 2025. There was a FedEx driver that was shot at by a father and a son, and the judge dismissed the case in 2025 without prejudice. As a matter of fact, Mississippi just abolished slavery within the last 15 years. So we're right to be suspicious of people who are dubious when it comes to Black lives.
Mm-hmm. And it's suspicious of the system they operate in. And you said it's not to say that those young men did anything, but you're talking about the state of Mississippi and the history. And the history will show you, right, determines partially and a lot in many ways the present.
Yes, I don't think that Mississippi has an interest in improving or disassociating itself from that image because they're acting so familiar. I don't think anybody. I think the only reason we know anything is because black people hadn't let it go. I think you because Ben Crump and Al Sharpton are there, brought a lot of attention to it. I think you have the black woman in Texas who scrubbed the audio so we could hear what they were saying to Nolan. I think the mother and her sister had to find his phone. So black people have done the leg and detective work and keeping this in the forefront. You really trying to tell me that Mississippi, that if there weren't so much attention brought to this, that they would be acting with any level of alacrity? They wouldn't. I firmly believe it. And the one thing, I don't know whether those boys had anything to do with that or not, but I think the problem that I'm having, and I think a lot of people having, I don't know who did what to who, but I know there was not one friend in the bunch. Not one person was a friend. Not one was a friend.
Yeah,
they call themselves teammates. They can call themselves teammates. They can call themselves. They can call acquaintances. They can say we were cool. They can never. Not one of them. There was not one friend in that boat, in that space, on that island. There was not one friend.
You ever look around at the way the world works and you think, now, who designed this mess? People work harder, they pay more, they earn less, and somehow get blamed when the system doesn't work for them. That's what George Koch examines in Bullies, Parasites, and Slaves, replacing exploit.
You brought up to Brandon Tatum, like you've been doing this for 40 years. Everybody knows who you are, and your career is still going strong. Because I'm out with you. We're filling arenas. So I think enough said. That's the case closed right there. But there's a difference between an acquaintance or someone you know or you're friendly with than an actual friend. Because DL, if I was on an island and you didn't have a way back, I would say, dude, you need to get your ass on this boat because we got to go and you don't have a way off, right? I'm going to make sure you're in there.
I remember years ago, there was a drunk driving commercial and Stevie Wonder was doing it, Don't Drive Drunk. Remember that? Remember Stevie Wonder had that? Stevie Wonder, he'd have drove home before he left you there by yourself.
Stevie Wonder could see that. That they weren't friends, or what an actual friend is. But so considering all of that, why doesn't this former officer guy, see that? Why doesn't he know the history of Mississippi and he know the natural suspicion that people have of Mississippi? Let me just get this in, Dio. The natural suspicion that people have of Mississippi and what it means. You know what a pick-me is, right, Dio?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so why would they choose that black guy to go in to defend them? And why would that black guy go in on a story like this, the only black to defend white people? I think that also speaks for itself of something else that's that's at hand here.
A big black strong dude, if he ain't on the football field or running a play on the football field, he's running his mouth for them. The only way that they're going to talk to him out of all the people is because he made them comfortable. And even the things that he said, I mean, even with Nancy Grace. I mean, you have Miss Rachel and Nancy Grace, Nancy Grace has been a successful prosecutor. She's prosecuted over 100 felony cases. She sees something there, and Brandon Disgrace doesn't see anything. So I think it is what he is. This man doesn't think that Charlie Kirk ever said anything racist. My prayer for this dude is that nothing ever befall his children, but if it does, he doesn't have to deal with a black man like him.
Let me play this real quick since you mentioned it. Roll it, Andy.
Have the friends taken polygraphs?
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me, that they all passed. And all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a polygraph test. Why do you say that's from what you
understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lie detector test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lie detector test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's a different methodology. Yeah, I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if the people were telling the truth or not.
Did they take a polygraph would be no.
No. Thank you very much, Nancy Grace. Okay, but he came back and said, no, it was a voice stress test or whatever. But, I mean, he looked like an idiot right there.
Well, he looks like of course, Nancy Grace. Brandon Tatum is used to being owned by white people. So that was par for the course. I think it's interesting that he was willing to take the word of these people to tell him what they had done and not. And was so willing to believe he is spreading the rumor or saying that he has 100% proof that Nolan took cocaine. And so the same people told him they took a lie detector test. I obviously told him about cocaine. That's the thing. When you die, suspiciously, you don't just die once. They kill you over and over again. They kill your character. They kill your dreams. They kill people's idea of you. It is a mass murder because you die more than once. Ultimately, and even if they do find alcohol or drugs in the system, I guarantee you he got it from the white boys on that boat. I guarantee you he did. He didn't own the boat. He didn't own one of those. So this is all this woman wants and all everybody wants is what happened to her son.
She wants to know what happened to her son. But look, you bring that up, and I spoke to the mom in an exclusive interview, and she talked about, you said that they kill him more than once.
Yeah.
You believe that, or at least reputationally, but I understand what you're saying. And you're saying that Brandon Tatum is having a hand in that sort of reputational damage that they're doing. The mom responded to that. Watch.
We've seen this before, right? Pattern recognition. We've seen this where things have happened, especially when we talk about the Black community. And, after the death, it's a smear campaign. It's, what can we find out about this person? What can we say? And, that's something, my family and I, especially my husband and I, we definitely do not appreciate. But, we can't fight everyone that wants to have an opinion. But also, too, it's part of society that has been allowed to occur, which is it's gut-wrenching at best. Because if you were in our situation, how would you feel if there were millions of people who are saying, oh, hey, well, he was at an island, he was heavily drunk. And again, even with the drinking, there are so many conflicting stories, only because I have spoken with adults who knew Nolan very well, coaches that were out there. One in particular, I think he told me he saw Nolan somewhere between like 2:45 and 3:30. He was like, Christine, yeah, we talked for a while. We talked about college. We talked about his life, his plans. And he was like, he was perfectly fine.
So she's saying it bothered the coach, but she's saying it's bothering her. But my thing is, what do you think teenagers are doing on their senior trip?
Of course, hey man, let me tell you something, man. If you're gonna get drunk and get high, you're supposed to do it when you're young. You're supposed to do it when you're young. That's when you make mistakes. I'm not advocating for that. I wouldn't be shocked if he had drugs in his system. I wouldn't be. But I think that it speaks to where we are as a society right now. We know what was in his system before we know what was on their phone. We know more about him, and it's always the case. I don't care what happens. Why do I know what was in his system before I know what was on their phone or who they talked to or where they were located at? And every story those boys tell looks like an adult told them to. Everything they say. Like how do you make these calls? Those conversations, those dudes are those dumbass teenagers not bright enough and sophisticated enough to say these things. They know damn well they kept that phone because a phone is a record. It's a technical record. It puts dates and places and things in proximity to other things. They know it. The parents know that. And then Brandon Tatum is going on about how come they didn't talk to the parents. Because why didn't you call me? Why did I have to come get my phone from you? Why haven't you been interested in talking to the police? I know what it's like to lose a friend, and I know what it's like for people to not want you to go to that funeral of that friend because of all the things that could happen. But I know this: if you love somebody, if you truly somebody's friend, there's nothing gonna stop you from seeing them all. There's nothing gonna stop you from doing the best you can to make sure that they didn't die in vain. So either we need to change the definition of friendship, or accept the fact that no one on that island acted like one. Out of all the things that happened, out of all the motives that are questioned, the one person I know for sure is innocent. The two people I know for sure is innocent. Is that young man's mother and father. Everybody else, I have no idea about. But I know they want to find out what's happening with their son.
You brought up something I thought was very interesting. You said, and you can clarify it here because I'm paraphrasing. You said, why is it always black people, and even in this case, who are pressuring people to get to the truth? Is that am I qualifying that correctly?
Why did it take all of this? Why did it take multiple? When Natalie Holloway was missing, right? You remember that, right? One man's Natalie Holloway is another man's Nolan Wells. We saw that every single day, right? Nobody questioned their parents' motivation. Nobody wondered why her life mattered. Nobody talked about her being on a simulator and what was in her system, right? We didn't do that. We, like everybody else, were concerned about that young girl and wanted her parents to get an answer. That's all we're asking. It's not an inconsistent thing to me. The way I felt about that young girl missing and parents being and the sympathy and empathy I felt for them, I think the nation owes that woman, his mother and father, the same thing. It was a national story for weeks. We knew names and dates and places and everything, and they turned over every stone, and rightfully so. And they didn't have the fatigue they seem to be exhibiting now.
DL, you look, I don't know if people, we talked about our beginnings, friends, then we fell out. I didn't fall out. You fell out. And which is fine. I don't ever
Why you always trying to make it seem like you better than me? Why you always trying to make it seem like you better than me?
Because I am. That's what I mean. You're just lucky that you didn't end up going to jail. That's luck. That's pure D luck.
Well, I tell you what, one of us ain't.
The reason I keep asking you this and I keep going back to it because I think sometimes, like I said, when people can't see themselves, they're too close. They can't see the forest for the trees. I don't know if that is on purpose or they just don't care that they're grifting. It's a click, it's money, or maybe that's just their mindset. But I don't ever remember you going in on any black person. You may have your disagreements with them. You may say a couple words, but you've never really gone to do an entire show about it. I want to play this and then we can talk. Here it is.
Let me just say this, and I know people are gonna clip this and get that, and I don't care. I really feel this way. I'm getting sick of black people, right? I like the black people like me and others that are conservative, that smart, but the rest of y'all, I'm sick of y'all. It's hard to even want to be around black people, to be honest.
I have never once, and I've had a disagreement with a lot of black people that I've had disagreement, but I've never once had to make a video explaining I don't hate black people.
I do not hate black people. I know that people who are new to my channel and you see people out there making these videos, it's comical to me because I don't understand how accountability leads to hate.
You said you can't teach me. You can't make me hate white people. You said that.
You want me to hate white people. I'm not doing it.
My question isn't making you hate white people. I don't want that at all. What I want to know is, who the fuck taught you to hate us?
America has a lot of religions and a lot of people who are not religious at all. So whose beliefs should the government follow? Well, none of them. That's the entire point.
That he assails, there's no discernible difference between the way he acts and the way, and I think that he gets this, the value that he has to the conservative movement is that I guess they believe he has some kind of pull, but he's eroding. And I think that when you look at the vast majority of people that support him or in lockstep with him, they don't look anything like it. It's like a prophet has no honor among his own. I remember he said he was a big fan of mine and you know what? You're supposed to not be a fan of mine. People like you are not supposed to like me. I would never have liked a man like that. I never would have had any kind of connection with him. And here's the truth. I don't mind. I have the same disdain for him that they have a basic respect for our lives and our situations. We don't have to come to the same conclusions about how we get there, but that we matter, that we're human beings, that some of the things that are unjust are unjust. I wouldn't have a problem with anybody. I despise this man. I do. And I'm not gonna pretend like I don't. I despise him. I despise what he does. And I think that like everybody else say you're too good. I mean, like you shouldn't waste your time. I got plenty. I work out just to be able to hate people like him. I do.
I know you get mad, DL. You talk about
I got plenty of strength for it, because for them to not think what they think but do what they do. They make it easy to be. How is it that this young boy died and we bring up Chicago? How does that happen? Because men like that make it so.
Well, that's why I use your example, your video post as an example, because I have a tendency to want to take the high road, right? And you're like, no. Whenever you see me on a show and I'm like, I'm not responding to that, I'll take the high road. You're like, you better get your ass in there and fight. But you brought up a very good point that I noticed around the Charlie Kirk thing, right? Especially with this guy. And parole it, here it is.
What is more lame than calling yourself the job you used to have? You're not an officer anymore. You were a football player who failed at being a football player. You didn't make the team, so you became an officer. That wasn't working out, so you became an influencer. You talked about emotion. What is more emotional than this? The word. You cried for a white dude who the people didn't even think you worthy to speak at his funeral. You said you wouldn't cry for your son, but you cried for him. That's not emotion?
So, DL, he's crying over Charlie Kirk. Does he not remember what Charlie Kirk said about black people, about black women not having brain processing power and pilots?
You know what? I think he does. I think it does. He reminds me of, how when the master would pass on, the slave would be upset. And I think Charlie Kirk. I think that when a man tells you that he'd be more sad at somebody who he was a follower of or close to, more so than his own child, that tells you a lot about how he feels. So I think if he doesn't love his children enough to emote, why would he care about black people? I mean, so.
Let's put the focus on the mom and the dad, because you mentioned you had advice for them and how they have conducted themselves and how we should be conducting ourselves, especially those like Tatum and others in the media.
Yeah, I think that it's almost like people forget that these are human beings too, and that they lost a child. And I think that it tells you a lot when every time something like this happens, the first thing they do is try to dehumanize whoever's involved with it. She's comported herself like a grieving mother and like a woman and like a humane person. And I think all she's asking for is answers, and respect. And I think ultimately she deserved that. And anybody who's trying to deny her that, I think is less than human.
DL, look, this more than anything, this lets me know that what we're doing across the country starting in September is really important.
Well, if you can stay out of jail, it'd be really important, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, I didn't want to bring up bad memories, but I'm just saying.
But I mean, seriously, what we're doing, because look, we're going to be doing this leading up to the midterm elections, and you know what's happening in this country, and you see what's happening with this narrative, and this, for one, shows me obvious. We know this. Black people, white people, many of us, we live in two different worlds, and there's a lot of educating, and a lot of people want advice, and they want to hear from us. How are we dealing with this? And they want some advice.
I think that ultimately it shouldn't be this hard to be human. It shouldn't be this hard to feel sympathy for people. It shouldn't be this hard to want us all to be in a space where we can respect each other's right to exist. And I think that it's a shame that it is.
Are you looking forward to being on the road with me?
So much.
That does not sound sincere at all.
I can't tell you how much fun I'm planning on having. It's so cool.
DL and DL, we start. Look, if you want to go, it's DL Plus. I think it's DL Plus DL.com, or you can go to donlemon.com and check us out. We are, if you go to donlemon.com, we're starting in September, on September 11th, and we're starting at Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we're going all across the country, and then eventually end up in LA and New York in December. But so it's before the midterms and after the midterms. And so before the midterms, you're going to need some advice, and after the midterms, you may need some consoling or some another reason to celebrate. Hopefully it's a reason to celebrate. But DL Hughley also, Uncertain. Check out DL Hughley, Uncertain on YouTube, because if you want to see a takedown like you saw with Tatum, there's much more where that comes from, DL.
All right, DL, man. I love you, man. I'll see you soon.
I love you too. Thank you. DL Hughley, everybody. And go check out, get the tickets because they're going to sell out. We'll see you soon.
It puts
Yeah, man. What can I say about this interview, bro? I just think this guy Tatum is going out really, really sad. He's going out sad, bro. Telling you the truth, the man's going out sad. Yeah, bro. I just think that man's going out sad, bro. He believes the boys on the boat, emphatically believes them, as far as going through the lie detector tests, the stories that he's saying. If you really watch the Nancy Grace interview, one thing that stuck out to me for real is that he said that there was no good service on Horn Island, right? And he doesn't believe that Nolan could have posted a video at all, right? He said he was trying to make calls and he was having limited service. And he even listened to the sea tow when they called for the tow over the water. And that was even dropping a little bit, right? The call dropped. But he never spoke to the fact that he never tried to post a video at all, right? And when he was asked about what the mother was saying as far as the video go, because, the mother was trying to say, I got the cell phone, it didn't have nothing posted in his social medias or nothing, and that's very odd for Nolan. He acted like he didn't know what she said. He spoke, though. I think he spoke a little too much, because he said that the boys, the young men on the boat, they actually showed him video from the night before. And when they actually went to Horn Island multiple times, okay? I think Nolan probably went with them another time as well. So what's so crazy is, though, they had videos and pictures and videos in their phone from the night before, because they said it was like a custom that they would spend a night at someone's house. Like they would spend the night at each other's house and they would leave all together to go to Horn Island for the 4th of July celebrations. And when he brought up the Christine Wells Wansley's audio, she actually said there was no videos at all, even from the day before, even from the night before. What Officer Tatum said was in the videos was they was drinking. I think they was in like a pool, having fun, doing things like that. You know what I mean? But it's just so crazy. One thing he tried to stand on the Nancy Grace conversation in an interview, he was like, I'm not a defense attorney. I'm just an officer and I'm here to get the bad guys. But he's already and automatically taking the sides of these young men, right? If there was a suspect or anybody who was supposed to be responsible, if there is a person responsible for Nolan Wells' unaliving, they would be a part of that bunch, whether one, whether all, a part of them, it would be a part of that bunch. But you've already taken their side, which leads a lot of people to say, hey, man, he was bought off, he was paid off. You know, some people like me say, you know me, some people just want white validation. I got friends of all colors, man. I don't just got one white friend or one Latino friend. Like, because some people say that, and that should be sounding racist to me. So I got many friends from many walks of life. Me personally, I don't have a racist bone in my body. But it just seems like he just goes out of his way to seek that white validation. We even seen it in during this interview when he's like, you can't make me hate white people and this and this and that. No one's asking anyone to hate white people. You know what I'm saying? No one's asking you to do that. But why do you always kick in the backs of your own people while you lift up other people and other races of other kinds of people? I think that's very weird. And then that gets you those raccoon eyes. Okay. I was having a conversation on the panel the other day, 2 days ago, where a guy was saying like he didn't understand what a raccoon was, what a coon was. And people were calling him a coon. And I was like, you know what, bro, I'm not going to go as far to call you a coon. But then later on the same night, he was sitting next to an actual coon and he was jumping for joy, shucking and jiving and buttering those biscuits for that guy. And I said, you know what, maybe that's why he can't see it. Maybe that's why he can't see it, man. But he got his raccoon goggles on. He most definitely had his raccoon goggles on. And them butter biscuits was buttered fully. You know what I mean? So again, this is just a sad case, a sad situation. All right. As far as updates go, I've been trying to update y'all on every video. You know, we have one person has been arrested. The first arrest has been made, but maybe not to the degree that people want someone to be arrested, someone that's culpable, someone that actually did do something wrong to Nolan Wells. A man from Sacramento has been arrested for harassing and threatening Warren Hudson's stepmother, who is a chancery judge out of Mississippi. She even went on to speak. She said that her and Christine Wells Wansley they went to school together. They went to high school together. They also are from the same community. We also seen Bart, who was another guy, right, who had another boat, they said, because we heard the audio. We heard, Bart, why? We heard that, right? But they're saying that Bart came on a whole nother boat, all right? But we do know that Bart's father is also a doctor at Memorial Hospital, at the same hospital that Christine worked at as well. So it's just so many connections, so many fine connections within this whole entire case. You know, just a tragic situation. But again, if you've been under a rock, like I said, the mother is speaking out towards Brandon Tatum, standing on 10 toes, saying that Nolan Wells was on cocaine. But he believed these boys out of the blue, out of everything, bro. And I got to side with D.L. Hughley. If he did have some cocaine in his system, where do you think he got that from besides them boys, in my own opinion, allegedly? Where do you think he got that from? They already went out to say that he was heavily drinking from witnesses, right? Who is the witnesses? You think some random sporadic people? Only till the other day ago, 2 people sporadically came out randomly and said that they saw Nolan Wells on the beach when the boat was gone. Who are we to believe about that? So who do you think are the ones or one who told investigators or the Mississippi Department of Marine Research or Resources that he was drinking heavily? It had to be one of them boys that was on that boat, because those are the only people that were with Nolan, okay? This is the actual, let me take down the banner, but you can still see it though right there, right? Look, you can see right here, it says date, time, location, subject, male, food intake is unknown, alcohol intake is heavy. They've already placed him as drinking heavily. Already they placed that upon Nolan Wells. What do you think young guys do though, man? They're going out for 4th of July, they chilling, they hanging out, girls and all types of stuff, fireworks, enjoying the celebrations. You know what I mean? You might want to go take a drink and stuff like that. So we're not gonna, you know what I mean, try to slander Nolan because he probably had a drink, but drinking heavy kind of leads towards some people that might want to use that as an alibi, might want to use that as some sort of defense. You know what I mean? So when we think about that, we have to think very clearly about that. And this is the actual paperwork of Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumars, okay, who has been arrested for threatening the family of Warren Hudson, his little brothers and sisters, his mom, I guess him and his stepmom and his father have about 6 children. Okay, so they have minor children as well. The scary thing about this whole thing is that this guy who's in question, he actually had actual predator type charges. He was arrested in 2009. I think he was 19, sorry. And he was released in like 2023. And he's on the offenders registry list, okay? And you would think that this man would go have a seat, several seats somewhere. This man is still online threatening people's minor children, talking about you're gonna that to them until they lips turn red and until their eyes turn red and their lips turn blue. Okay, this man faces up to 5 years. Okay, 5 years this man's facing for everything that he's done here. $250,000 fines, up to 3 years post supervised release, and a $100 assessment. Okay, but it's just nasty work with this guy, man. Nasty work, man. I'll just read a little bit off right here. I've been trying to put it on every video. You know what I'm saying? Just to let you know what type of character that this guy has. Okay, Dumars in 2019 was arrested by Sacramento Police Department. Let me just screen share it to you so you can see it for yourself. Okay, I've been trying to put this on every video so we know exactly what's going on. But the crazy thing about it is Will, Nolan's mom and her father as well, come out to subpoena YouTube to find the IP addresses of people that's threatening them as well, because they're receiving threats as well. And it seems like this is not the only person that will be arrested in conjunction with threatening emails or messages that are going out towards people that are surrounding this case. So Dumars in 2019 was arrested by Sacramento Police Department on suspicion of exposing himself to and then attempting to kidnap a 13-year-old girl outside of a Meadowview Elementary School, according to previous Sacramento Bee reporting. According to an entry into Megan's Law, y'all, Megan's Law, California SEX offender registry, Dumars was convicted in 2019 of annoying or molesting, you know the word, a child under 18 years of age, and in 2020 of sending harmful matter with the intent of seducing a minor. He was released from prison. I don't know why they release these kinds of people from prison. These people need to stay there for life. For life. Okay? Nobody is safe with these people running around the road. Look, prison in California in 2023, according to the registry, he is listed as being a transient of Sacramento, California. Okay, and this right here is the actual grand jury proceedings, the indictment that's on him already, man. You could just take a look in the gander and see what that's looking like for yourself, man. This man is sick. This man has issues. This man needs help. Okay, the man needs help, man. Yeah, though, man. I want everybody making sure you're active, man. Subscribe to Uda on Go, man. I'm trying to update y'all as much as I can with every bit of information. Reach out to me. Subscribe to Uda on Go on IG and TikTok. Send me a message if you're seeing something I need to cover. Make sure that we're all on Go together and just updating me and timing me in, and I'll get on any kind of a video that I need to update the people with. All right. Hopefully everybody's blessed. Everybody's family is blessed. My heart goes out to the Nolan Wells' family, the Wells Wansley family, and anybody that loves and have a deeper connection to Nolan Wells. Prayers always going out for them. You know, all I wish for them is a transparent investigation. All I wish for them is that they get the answers that they are seeking and the justice that they are looking for, right? And once again, I'm going to highlight Christine Wells Wansley and her husband Elmore for just the selflessness of getting a platform and having a national notoriety upon their son in this case, doing big press conferences with big news programs, legacy media news are there. And they actually extended their platform to the family of Daniel Irving and the family of Tyler Smith. Daniel Irving, they said drowned. They said he jumped off a railroad bridge into the water, surfaced once, and then went underwater. The two people that was with him, who were non-blacks, they actually threw his clothes into the tree line, threw his phone, deleted things off the phone and everything, act like they had nothing to do with it, didn't even report nothing. A couple of days later, they came out to say that they did what they did. They threw the clothes and they did this and did that. And they were only arrested, the person that was arrested was only arrested for tampering with evidence, not for a homicide or being a part of a homicide, unaliving of Daniel Irving. As far as Tyler Smith goes, another sad situation. He went out with friends. The same day that Nolan went missing with Tyler Smith, the same exact day, July 4th, 2026. He was with friends. They was at a house. I don't know if it was like a party or something that they had, but a gunshot rings off. When they come, he's dead in the house. They say that they were playing Russian roulette and he unalived himself, right? The officers on the scene took the words of the kids and everybody that was there. They didn't do no GSP, no gunpowder residue, no GPS, no gunpowder residue, right? They didn't look for none of that on his hands alone to see if he was the one that pulled the trigger or anyone's hands, right? Come to find out, days later, one of them comes out only after they find out that the shell casing didn't match the one that actually hit Tyler Smith, okay? They come out to say, oh no, this is the weapon actually that was used. What? After they impeding the investigation, obstructing justice over here, do you know what that person was also allegedly charged with? Tampering with evidence, also wasn't charged with homicide. So again, salute to Christine and Elmore Wells Wansley for, highlighting someone else besides their son. Also, two other young black men, 18 years of age, who were unalived with very suspicious, just very suspicious circumstances. All right. So very sad situation. Salute to everybody. I appreciate all y'all. Make sure you're supporting the channel any way you can, liking, sharing, subscribing, hyping the videos, dropping comments on any video that you can to help us get back into the algorithms. I don't really be live that much, but you can help me get back into the algorithm, of course, by liking, sharing, subscribing, hyping videos, commenting on any video that I have that's surrounding this case or any other video. Just leave an emoji if you don't want to go into a long comment. All of those things help to push us back into the algorithms. All right, man. And it's just a sad situation, man. Most definitely just a sad situation. But I will keep y'all updated. I most definitely will keep you updated. If you're a man listening to my voice, make sure you're helping young men and young guys, dropping some knowledge on them, helping them to avoid some things that could, trials and tribulations that they could fall into. And if you're a woman listening to my voice, help a young woman, help a young girl to, avoid some of these ills of life and some of the things that you've seen or you've known other people to go through. Because every experience is not meant for everybody to come back from. And you even seen that in the Bible. Okay. So let us just do our part. Even if we're not accredited, doesn't matter. That is how we start to take hold and take the reins on our future by helping somebody that's younger than us today. So, Officer Tatum.
You lying ass bitch.
I said Brandon race Batum Tatum.
So that was a fucking lie.
We don't know what you on, homie. We don't know what you're on, homie. I'm looking at you like Kevin with them eyes, with the goldfish eyes, with the fishbowl joints. Yeah, we're looking at you with the fishbowl joints because you're suspicious. And D.L. Hughley actually cooked you. Besides Nancy Grace, she got up on your bumper. She most definitely cooked your ass. So besides Nancy flame broiling you hibachi style with the peppers and onions, you ever been to a hibachi place? And they chop up the onions and everything. They flip the head. That's what Nancy did with his ass, like that. And then slid the onions. He slid this nigga ass over here on some onions. Yes, Brandon raised Batum Tatum. Yes, you, sir. Yes, you. Mm-hmm. Yes, you. But this is you after D.L. Hughley cooked your ass today. This you, sir. This you. Don't be mad, because you know they got your ass. You know they got your ass.
She got your ass.
Nancy got you, boy. She had you tripping. Stumbling, falling. She had you falling, not in love, but tripping and falling on the goddamn YouTube screens. So we gonna make sure we remember that, Rice Batum Tatum. All right? But this is you right now, sir. Congratulations. You played yourself.